Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. In today's video, I want to talk to you about 4 simple tips on how to get better intonation. But before I do, I know a lot of you are new to this channel. Hello, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, press the notification so you know each time I'm going to be releasing a video. So a lot of you are new to this channel and a lot of you don't know or have no idea that I actually have an online 1 to 30 violin course, which is all sitting here right behind me on the sofa. So I just wanted to take a few moments just to tell you all about that course, because I'm telling you, it's a fantastic course, and I know loads of you have already bought the course and you're already working through the course, and I know that you can attest to that. So I just want to tell you all about that just for a few minutes, and then we will get into the video. So my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate player. Basically, it's going to take you from playing like this to playing like this. This is the only interactive and all-encompassing course available online, and the closest you'll ever get to having a real teacher sitting there in the room with you. This course has been developed using my many years of experience as a violin teacher, performer, and actually a London College of Music examiner for one of the top exam boards in the UK. And this has given me a very unique and particular insight into teaching and how it should be taught. So this course takes you from a complete beginner, so you don't know anything about music. It will teach you how to hold the violin, how to hold the bow, where to place the violin, where to actually bow on the strings. So you don't even need to be a musician to learn to play via this course. You don't need to know anything about anything. Of course, if you do know something about music and you've played an instrument in the past, then that's obviously going to help you. But you don't need to know anything about music. And this course will take you through everything you need to know. So once you've learnt to hold the violin, it will start to teach you some open strings and then gradually adding in a few of the finger notes. After each set of 10 lessons, you will then move on to a songbook. Each songbook contains 10 well-known classical pieces that have been arranged for the exact level of the previous 10 lessons. So lessons 1 to 10, then you would go on to this songbook 1, and everything in this songbook 1, it will encompass everything that you've learned in lessons 1 to 10. There'll be nothing more, nothing less in there. Then you will move on to lessons 11 to 20. Once you've completed those, you will move on to songbook 2. Songbook 2 will be at the exact level that you will be at after you've got to lesson 20. After that, you'll move on to the next set of 10 lessons and then finish off with songbook 3. And the piece that I played at the beginning of this was from the songbook 3. The beauty of this whole course is that it's priced very, very fairly, and you don't have to commit to any weekly lessons. You can do them exactly when you want to. It's fully interactive, as I say, with the videos online and everything that you need in the books. You don't need any other materials if you don't want to know all the sheet music. And the best part about it is that the first 10 lessons are 100% absolutely free. I want you to try the first 10 lessons. I want you to see how I teach, see how you get on with it, see if you're actually playing, see if you actually learn. And if you do like the first 10 lessons, then you can go ahead and purchase the rest of the books that we've got here. So I stand by my statement that my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate player. Okay, so the first little tip I can give you on getting better intonation is to make sure your violin is actually in tune. The amount of people that do not have their violin in tune before they start to play is beyond staggering. Students would come to me, get the violin out the case, start playing, and I'd be like, whoa, let's just stop, tune the violin, you know, and then we can go from there. When you are putting your fingers down in certain places, so perhaps you've got dots on the violin, that's fine, but you know, if a B is there, a C is there, a D is there, that's great. But if your A string is not in tune, then that's not going to be right, is it? So let me quickly demonstrate to you. So I'm going to play the scale of D, starting on an open D string. So all of my strings are in tune. They're well enough in tune anyway. So what I'm going to do now is untune my D string and untune my A string, and then I'll play exactly the same thing with my fingers in exactly the same place, because that's how I've been training them to be, and then you'll hear the difference with it. So let me just take the D string down actually. So the D string is now down. I'll leave everything else the same. So the A is fine, now you can hear the D string is not. So I'm going to play the D scale again. So I'm playing what I think to be absolutely correct, because I don't know that my D string's not in tune. I'm just playing the open D. I'm putting my first finger down where it always goes, second finger down, third finger down. It isn't until I move to the open A string and play the rest of the notes in that D scale that it really exposes to me how bad my strings are. So my point I'm trying to make here is that if you go along playing like that, your strings wouldn't be as badly as that out of tune. I was just using that to make exaggerate a point, but you're going to be thinking that this is now an E, but it's not. This is an open E. Because my D string is out of tune, I'm thinking this is an E, but it's not. I think this is an F sharp. It's absolutely not an F sharp. That would be an F sharp there. So what I end up doing is overcompensating for my fingers. You know, and I've completely lost it because I can't figure out what's going on here. So you imagine all of your strings being out of tune a little bit, but your fingers still going down in the right place that they're used to going down, but they're not actually giving you the correct sounding note. Then you're playing that with a piano, or you're playing that over and over and over again, and then you're starting to train your ears into thinking that, you know, these notes are what I'm playing are correct, and they're absolutely not. All because your violin is not in tune in the first place. Okay, so my second point here would be to learn to self-teach and listen to your playing. So intonation is quite a difficult one, and even if you had a teacher once a week, they're only going to be there once a week telling you, you know, what notes are in tune and what notes are not in tune. And that's absolutely fine, but what about the other 6 days of the week when you're practicing and you're not seeing your teacher, for example, or for those of you who don't have any teacher at all? For the rest of the time, you need to self-teach yourself. So, you know, there are lots of things going on with the violin. There are lots of things that the brain is thinking about, holding the violin, holding the bow, the left hand, the right hand, the sound it's making, all sorts of things, let alone intonation with the left hand and where the fingers are going down. And actually really listening to what you're playing. A lot of students, I find, actually don't listen to what they're doing at all. Obviously, everybody can hear everything and they're listening, but they're not actually listening. A lot of students will play notes and they'll be completely out of tune. They'll not really have heard them and they'll just carry on playing through that, and I'll have to stop them and say, whoa, what's happening? Stop what you're doing. We need to go back and do that. And they've not even heard what's going on. It's almost like they're relying on me to do that. And that's part of my job. That's obviously what the students are paying me to do. But again, only once every week or once a fortnight, or whatever it is. But when you're at home, you're going to have to be the teacher, and you're going to have to self-teach yourself. So you're going to have to learn to really listen, open up those ears and really listen to the sound that you're making. If you're struggling to do that, then the only other way you can do that is to record yourself using a phone, a camera, device, whatever it is that you've got. It doesn't really matter. It's completely irrelevant. You need to record yourself and play it back, go through the music, and mark down and circle any parts that you feel don't sound right, because you don't have anything to concentrate on at that point. You've put the violin down, you've rewound it back, you're playing from the beginning, and you can do nothing but just listen to what you're doing. And it kind of, nobody likes doing that, because it kind of, highlights a few kind of self-embarrassing moments there, but it's for your own good. Everybody's uncomfortable doing it. As soon as you press that record button, everybody crumbles and it just all goes to pieces. But you've got to do it if you want to improve. You've just got to get over yourself and just do it. And the thought of that record button, even for me, when I press record, it's like I don't know what's happened. I'll press record, I'll start playing, and it's like I've just got the violin out of the case after 20 years. I do not know what is going on, but you sort of do it again, you get used to it, you just get over it, and you sort of think, something that you've got to do for the end game. Think of the bigger picture. So, just do it. Just record yourself, play it back, listen to the music, grab a pen or a pencil and start circling notes that you don't think sound right. And that's the only way you're kind of going to improve. And then you can go away and work on that. Maybe a few days later, do the same thing again. See if you're circling the same parts, or see if you've improved them. If you've improved them, then yeah, that's going to be brilliant. Then what you're worried about, just keep on doing it, and you know what you've got to do for the future. Okay, so the third tip to help you with intonation is to put dots on the violin. So some people like putting dots on, some people don't like putting dots on. I do as a teacher. I do like putting dots on. I don't like the dots being on the violin for a huge amount of time, but I do like the dots being on the violin for quite a long time. So, for example, if you were following through my book course here, I would say by the time you get to book 3, which is lessons 21 to 30, I wouldn't want to be having the dots on. I would let you have the dots on through lessons 1 to 10, songbook 1, lessons 11 to 20, maybe songbook 2 if things were going okay. I would maybe just see what it's like if you remove them when you get sort of into halfway through songbook 2. If you take them off when your intonation's kind of regressing back a little bit, then I would put them back on. But definitely I would say that by the time you'd got to book 3, lessons 21 to 30, and then of course the songbook after that, you would not want to be having these on. But that would be taking you a good while by the time you got to that. So I like the dots because for those of you who are complete non-musicians, and my course, for example, is for complete non-musicians, so I'm talking to you guys here. For those of you that don't know anything about anything and have never played any other instrument, the dots are great because they teach you that intonation. How are you supposed to know the sound of an A if you don't know what the sound of an A sounds like? So if these are your strings and you're putting your fingers down, how can you identify the note of B or a C or a D or whatever it is if you don't know what an A, a B or a C is supposed to sound like? So by using those dots, it gives you that frame of reference. Not only that, but we get muscle memory in the hands as well. So I know exactly where to put my fingers now. I mean, I'm well beyond that stage anyway, because I've been playing for 36 years. So my fingers already know where they're supposed to go. But for those of you that don't, those dots will teach you. The finger always goes there, the second finger always goes there, the third finger always goes there. And you're using those dots as kind of guides, like, having the stabilizers on a bike when you first started to ride a bike, and then you took them off and then eventually rode a bike just with your 2 wheels. So it's the same kind of thing. But it's teaching you where those fingers go. So over the course of weeks, days and days, weeks and weeks, months and months, when you're going through this kind of course, for example, that your muscle memory is teaching you where exactly the fingers go down, and they will go down the same place every single time. If you don't have a dot there, your fingers will not go down at the same place every single time, and you'll be constantly frustrated with your intonation. So I know a lot of people don't like dots, and a lot of people actually use tuners, and I really don't think that's a very good idea at all. I think tuners should only be used to tune your violin strings. I don't think tuners at all should be used whilst playing. I've never used them. I feel like they are a bit of a lazy way out, and I know there are probably some of you that are watching this that do that, but don't do that. Use your ears to listen, and if you can't do that, and if you're saying to yourself like, well, you know, I need that tuner because I need to test, well, put the dots on, put these on your violin first, and then you won't need to use that tuner. The thing about the tuner is that they're not particularly accurate, and it's not a particularly good way of teaching yourself good intonation, because you're constantly looking at something, your fingers, there's still no guarantee of where your fingers are going down. So your fingers are going down, is it in the right place? Don't know, let's have a look at the tuner. But you're never getting to the crux of the problem, which is working out where the fingers go. If you had a guide with something like these dots, then you would know where those fingers go, and then eventually you take the dots away and boom, your fingers go down perfectly every single time. That's not to say that you might have to make a little tweak or two, but that's the theory behind it. So if you are using a tuner to check your notes, do not do that. Put these on. If you're using a tuner to check your notes and you've got these on, shame on you. You shouldn't be using that. Take the tuner off. Do not rely on the tuner. Just use it to tune up your violin, and then take it off and put it back in the case, and use it to look at where your fingers are going on these dots. If you look at where your fingers are going and they're going straight on the dot every single time, you will be teaching yourself that muscle memory, and I promise you your intonation will improve tenfold over the next few weeks. And the last and final tip for good intonation is just to make sure that you're bowing in the middle there. So the more you bow closer to the fingerboard, the strings aren't quite so rounded, so it's not going to vibrate as much when you get towards the fingerboard. So you get that kind of bend and kind of wobble in the string, and it's kind of like it pushes it gives you the wrong kind of vibration, it's giving you the wrong bend in the string. So rather than it being here where the string is most taut and where it should be played, when the note is nice and pure, when you're bowing close to the fingerboard, even though I'm trying to keep the bow nice and smooth and flat and consistent, I can't because of the lesser vibrations that are going to be near the fingerboard. So the closer the fingerboard you get, the worse the intonation is going to be, but not through your fingers, just because of the vibrations and how much flatter the strings are, and they're more curved close to the bridge as well. So not only are you trying to get your fingers in the right position, but you're contending with the bow kind of knocking all of that out for that reason as well. So just make sure that you're bowing near the middle. It doesn't have to be completely close to the bridge, but sort of somewhere, you know, you've got a good kind of inch movement there, I would say. So somewhere kind of in the middle, and you're going to get the nicest and best smoothest sound. So there we go, some 4 simple tips on how to improve your intonation. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget all the links to my 1 to 30 violin course are going to be underneath this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.